What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to do a video on falling off course with your diet. And I don't believe it's spoken about quite a bit. I believe it's talked about, discussed around people that are just first starting out or have had not been successful in the past with fat loss phases, and as far as like beginners. But I don't think it's spoken about when somebody's been doing this for quite a long time. And, I've done 6 contest preps, I've done 12 contests, and I've even dieted down for like powerlifting meets, which is a little different, but still, I don't think it's spoken about as far as people that have been doing it for a while and fall off course. I think there's this crazy expectation that people are perfect, and it gets easier and easier the more you do it, which I feel like to some extent that's very true. Is that you look at things a little differently the more and more you do this, versus just like a one-time thing. But I do feel like it's just not spoken about. People just think that it just gets easier with time. Like, this is just easy for you now because you've done this for so long and you've had multiple approaches and you've had coaches before, and you have this crazy motivation to just stick with your plan and never fall off course. You're just like this robot, which I don't believe is true. I believe that it's still hard, and I can definitely tell you that it is hard, that it's still a choice to follow your plan day to day. It's not like most days it's automatic, but it gets hard, and you still have to make a decision to make the right choices and stay on plan. And I don't know what the statistics are as far as other people that have like eaten extra calories, or say they've done their cardio or whatever the case may be. But for me, the nutrition part, I never thought like food relationship issues were a thing for me. But I will say that when you do fat loss phases, extended phases, when you restrict what you're eating, when you are at your weakest some days, sometimes your mental state isn't the greatest. You tend to get magnified as far as like relationship issues around your food, and or you have like a negative connotation towards like dieting, and like you just never know these things until you actually do it. And for me, and there's even like a sense of like embarrassment or guilt, because even to yourself you have this expectation like, man, like, why am I falling off course? I coach people, like I've done this for a while, like what the heck, man, like why am I falling off course with this? And I really can't explain it, as far as like why I make the decision to eat an additional 150, 200 calories, and it's still calculated, like, but it's still something that wasn't on the plan. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it really impacted the way my physique looked. Like, I feel like I brought in the best physique that I've done to date, as far as like how I looked and even how I felt throughout this course of prep. And but the fact of the matter is I fell off course, and it's not necessarily a hard thing for me to talk about, because I've always tried to be real as far as like, as far as my approach. Even talked about like my hormone levels and my like internal lab numbers the last prep I did, and how everything was like shot to crap as far as my numbers looked. But what I will say is that what I have learned as far as when looking back on those last 2 weeks is really how have I been successful with living this lifestyle. Is number one is consistency. Consistency does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean like, man, you have to be perfect every single day, every single minute of the day. If not, you are not going to look your best. If not, you are not going to be the best version of yourself. Consistency means is what are you doing over time? As far as like all the good things that you're doing, all the so-called right things that you're supposed to be doing as far as following your plan and living your life and to achieving your milestones, your goals. It's not what you're doing every single minute of the day as far as being perfection. It's like a net. How much are you netting as far as like the positive outcomes or the positive things that you're doing over time? And I believe that's truly the biggest thing, is consistency and not perfection. I think once you realize that, hey, I'm not going to be perfect, but at the end of the day is that I'm going to have a net positive of all the great things that I'm doing and all the things that I'm doing to move forward. Because at the end of like a week or a month or 6 months or a year, you're going to have a net worth of progress. And once I realized that, is that I don't feel bad about having an extra 150, 200 calories. Like, it's not a big deal to me, because I know over the course of a time frame that I'm overall consistent with what I'm doing. And then the other thing is just being open about it. Like I said, I don't think it's a topic that most people talk about, is that either for yourself or other people, is that being open about these types of challenges opens the door for other people to hopefully come forward and share that same struggle, because it's not easy. And I think the more open you are, the more you can learn from it and learn from others that come forward and possibly can help with providing what they've done to stay consistent. But I think this conversation doesn't necessarily happen a lot. Or like I said, it's just this expectation that it gets easier as you do it. And like I said, to some extent that's true, but at the end of the day, it still becomes hard during some moments, during some days, to stay overall consistent. So like I said, those are the two probably biggest things, is just overall consistency, not perfection, and just being open about it, open and honest about it, because the more open about it you are, the more you can learn from others, the more you can almost set that different expectation that, yeah, it gets easier at some moments, but at the end of the day, it's still hard. And hopefully that'll shed some light on other people and not setting these unrealistic expectations that social media tends to do, is that everything is easy, it's so much glamorous that it really is, but there's definitely some cold hard truths as far as like it being challenging. But hopefully this video helps other people realize that, dieting is hard, fat loss phases are hard, and know that other people struggle with this. And the more open you are about it, the more you can definitely learn for yourself and possibly help other people along the way. So thanks for listening. Hopefully that's helpful. But yeah.